Hi there. Welcome. I am Alicia and this is Stephanie, and we are joining you tonight for cookouts and cocktails with essential oils. So thank you all for watching and being here with us. I'm really excited about this topic because I love this time of year. So just the idea of both cookouts and cocktails makes me very happy. And I'm also really excited to hear Stephanie's perspective because, as a lot of you know, Stephanie is a mom. She has 3 boys. She cooks a lot, especially with the new cookbook. She cooks a lot, and I just feel like, you know, me, I'm a single woman. Usually when I go to a cookout, I bring one dish. Sometimes it's a dish of like sliced up watermelons. So I keep things very, very simple. And I think it's going to be cool to hear our different takes on these ideas here. So let's see. Do you want to start us off with some thoughts?
So we just thought this would be a really good topic for this time of year, especially since we're finally in the Northeast seeing some nicer weather. So everyone is outside grilling, we have the windows open, we're enjoying the fresh air, which also then means parties and barbecues and picnics and you know, we have graduation coming up and things like that. So when you have a lot of essential oils in your house, there's quite a few of them that you can use to enhance foods or drinks. And we're going to talk about both. And a lot of what we talk about, we'll provide you with some recipes, but a lot of what we talk about is just going to be like we're going to equip you with information that will allow you to play. Will allow you to take recipes and pull in essential oils where it calls for herbs, or instead of using lemon zest, you'll be able to use a drop of lemon. So we'll give you lots of information to kind of do that. You're definitely going to want to jot down notes. And then at the end of this class, know that we're gonna, there's a few recipes we wanted to share with you, and we're not gonna like dictate those recipes, but we will I have a nice little handout to go with the class that we can send you, and we'll also post to the Facebook group so that you'll have that information. So there's some stuff that you're gonna wanna jot down, and then you'll have access to the handout so that you won't have to like just focus on listening and learning through the class. So we'll start by focusing on a few facts. And again, because we're dealing with cookouts and cocktails, we're going to focus on essential oils that can be ingested, which means, so we've talked about this in other classes, but so this is thyme oil, and it has, let's see if we can get that. So it has a supplement fact box on it, which means it can be ingested because it's giving us the nutritional factors and information. If your essential oil does not have that supplement fact box, it means it's not recommended for internal use. So you can still diffuse and you can still use topically, but a lot of the things that we talk about tonight, it won't be recommended for. So most of what we're focusing on tonight are the citrus oils, the herb oils, and then like the, what did I call the other group? Like the spices and things like that, that kind of like anything that when we discuss it, we also use it in a different form, that plant. So essential oils are 50 to 70 times more potent than herbs. So when we talk about essential oils and the possibility of them replacing their herb components, I have an herb garden and I love my herb garden, but right now it's just beginning. So I don't necessarily have access to fresh herbs. And a nice complement to that is if I don't have the fresh herb on hand, I can grab my essential oils. And we're going to give you some conversion things tonight that will help you use them. The other factor is that we don't have to worry about storing fresh herbs. We don't have to worry about drying them out. We don't have to worry about them going bad. We also don't have to worry about where they're coming from. So all of those factors are really important when you're using fresh herbs. Are they organic? Are they free of pesticides and chemicals? Are they coming from a
Reliable source.
Yeah, reliable source.
Yeah.
Because we obviously don't want to put pesticides and chemicals and yuck into our bodies. So we know that doTERRA oils are very high quality, very potent. They're better than organic. They're never touched with pesticides and chemicals. So we can use them in place of herbs and spices in a lot of recipes. So keep that in mind. So there's 3 ways when we're talking about cookouts and cocktails and picnics and barbecues and all of those fun things, events that you either might attend or may host, that you can use essential oils. So we're going to break it down into 3 different areas and then talk about how you can use a lot of these oils in those 3 areas. And those 3 areas are smelling, touching, and tasting. You want to start with smell?
Yeah. So first up with smell is you can diffuse while cooking and prepping meals for events. So this is a great way to, if you're feeling a little tired, pop some peppermint in the diffuser and be able to energize yourself while you cook. I also really like to diffuse citrus oils while I'm cooking. It just makes everything smell excellent. And again, citrus oils are known as our happy oils, so they're going to be uplifting and also energizing, as would be the peppermint. Diffuse to clean air of unpleasant smells. And an example of this would be if you're cooking fish, you know that, sometimes afterwards your entire home smells like fish. I know sometimes when I come home to my apartment, the entire hallway smells like fish. And I think, someone's having salmon for dinner. So especially Purify is a great one to use. It's a wonderful blend for purifying the air after you've cooked something that's a little smelly. And then diffusing while outside on the patio or deck to repel insects. This is one that I'm really excited about. The insects are always kind of eating me alive. I must be so sweet. They love me. And there is an awesome blend called TerraShield. It's doTERRA's outdoor blend. And this would be an awesome one to pop in the diffuser if you are outside on your patio or your deck. It also comes in a spray as like a bug spray. So I always have that in my purse. Pretty much from May 1st on, it's always in my purse with me. So there are battery operated diffusers, so you don't have to necessarily have an electrical outlet. So this is the one that I have. It actually, I think, can work by a USB port as well. Oh, cool. But it just has, I'm not going to even it doesn't require water. It's just a pad that you put an absorbent pad that you put the oil on. But we have batteries in this, so if we're out on our back deck, we have an outlet, so I can put a diffuser in. But if we're out at our lake house by the bonfire, we don't have access to electricity. So this comes with us, and we just sit it. We typically put TerraShield in it and get it going. And just, it runs. I've also used this, I've used it a couple different times, but it's just nice to have. And this one is Spa Room box. Hold on. It's called Aroma Fire. So I got it right on Amazon, of course. But that's a good one if you want something portable that doesn't need to plug in. And then of course, diffuser bracelets. Same thing, you could apply the oils topically, or you could apply it on your diffuser bracelet as well if we're looking to repel bugs. And then the second fun way, and I've done this for an event that I had here, and we will provide the recipe for this, is Bug Away Luminaries. And it's just kind of, I'm not going to totally make it, but I will start to make it. The Bug Away Luminaries require just a canning jar, and then you fill it with water. You put lemon slices in, lime slices, a sprig of rosemary, and then a bunch of oils. So I've already pre-cut 2 limes. I'll hold it for you. Now it's kind of like we have a cooking show. Yeah. 2 lemons, rosemary. Gosh, you could also just put water and drink, right? Yeah. So then water. And these are super fun, super easy. And then you put a floating candle in it. Oh, that's so pretty.
So the only thing I'm missing, and I'm not going to put these in, but the oils, and it's just because we're not going outside tonight, so I don't want to waste the oils, but super easy. 2 slices of lemon, 2 slices of lime, a sprig of rosemary, the floating candle, water, and then it's got a bunch of bug repellent oils. So it has eucalyptus, lemongrass, peppermint, and TerraShield. Anywhere from 2 to 5 drops. And you could play around with that recipe too. You could kind of put in different oils depending on what you want or what you have. Actually, if you only have TerraShield, then throw like 10 drops of TerraShield in them. But it's nice to do about 6 of them and then have them lit at night along with having the oils out. So it's like along the deck on the table and things like that. And it looks really pretty. So that's something else that's just fun and non-edible, although you kind of could eat it.
If you didn't put all those oils in.
So those are ways that we can smell the oils. The second thing we'll talk about is touching the oils. So we can, when we're in the kitchen cooking, we have a lot of cleaning to do. So we can use any of the On Guard products. Or any of your homemade cleaners. So we did a whole presentation class on cleaning. So any of those obviously can be used. I love to use my all-purpose cleaner for the countertops, for the tables, for the deck, or the table on the deck.
I have a confession about that.
What?
So I thought I loved making homemade cleaning products, and now I got the all-purpose cleaner. It's so easy. You just dump in some of the all-purpose cleaner and water, and you put the cap on and you're ready to go. So that's been really helpful. My countertops have never been cleaner.
Yeah. So that's an option. We have the On Guard foaming hand soap right at our kitchen sink. So that's nice as well. And actually, I know people that use the On Guard cleaner concentrate as dish soap also. So that's an option. So any of those cleaning things, and cleaning your cutting board, wiping down your cutting board, your counters, all of that kind of stuff. The other thing we often need to clean, especially this time of year, is our grill. So the grills get pretty yucky and gross, and we can scrub them down with the grill brush. Grilling is not my forte, my husband's. But we can scrub it down with that, but then we often need to get like underneath and really clean it down. And I will provide you guys with, I think I've put together 2 different recipes. So I have a grill cleaner that combines baking soda, Castile soap, lemon essential oil, which if we go back to the properties of lemon is takes off sticky stuff. It's a degreaser, so perfect, right, for the grill. The other thing to keep in mind is what we're putting on that grill. Yes, it kind of cooks off as we heat it up, but like I don't want stuff on there that's gross and chemically and stuff. So keeping it nice and simple. And that one also has a little white vinegar in it. And then I found a recipe for a soft scrub. So if you have lots of caked on stuff on the grill, there's a salt, baking soda, dishwashing liquid, again, lemon, and you combine it all and then you put it on the grill, let it sit for a little while and rinse it off. Both those recipes will be in the handout. So those are other ways we can use the oils in the touch category. So citrus oils, we've talked about this a lot too. They're cleansing and purifying. We love to use them to clean produce. So if we're working with fruits, if we're working with vegetables, we can fill the sink or fill a bowl with water and then drop our citrus oils in there. I tend to have a preference based on what I'm washing. There is no rhyme or reason for this. It's just my personal preference. But if I'm doing grapes, it's always wild orange. If I'm doing strawberries, it's lemon. Apples are lemon. And then anything like lettuce and veggies is always lemon too, because I feel like it's a cleaner, like less, like, I don't know. I just don't.
It's not as strong
as
some of the other ones. So.
And lemon kind of goes with a lot of the veggies. So those are options as well. And then we just rinse that off quickly, and it's okay if a little of that lemon or citrus oil is left behind. In fact, for the grapes, it's kind of a nice
Tasty
taste. Yeah.
It's like a tiny little bit of orange aftertaste. It's really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And for my kids, they think it's a treat. And then the last thing is we can always apply oils topically to ourselves. So if we're hosting an event and we have a lot to do, we can apply oils that help with focus.
Yes.
If we're stressed out and wow, we're short on time and how am I going to get all of this done, we can apply oils to help calm ourselves down. Or maybe
motivate.
Motivate.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're going someplace that we're not super happy about going, or we're just feeling like an obligation. We can put on some happy oils. So there's lots of different ways to help yourself through these different events that require us to get together with other people. And I think that we talked about the repelling bugs, and then obviously just to smell good.
Yeah.
So if we're cooking and we're in the kitchen and we're smelling like all these different foods that we're making, I've made body sprays, and I have, like, my perfume basically is always an essential oil. And it's never the same.
It's always a new one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are fun ways to use them topically as well.
And the last one is taste. So like Stephanie said earlier, the oils must have supplement fact infos on them to be used internally. And then you're always going to start with a tiny amount. The oils are really concentrated, really, really potent. And then you can always add more if you need to. So you can use a toothpick dip or a toothpick swirl for some of your recipes, and that's plenty enough. You don't even need one whole drop. What I like to do if I'm adding a drop to a recipe is actually put a spoon under and add my drop to the spoon, because otherwise if 2 drops goes in, it might just be too much of a good thing, too potent and too strong. So, you know, it's kind of like when you're getting your hair cut, like the hairdresser can cut off a little bit. And then if you're like, oh, let's do more, she can cut off more, but she can't put your hair back on once she's chopped it off. So same with the oils. You can always do a toothpick swirl and then add a little more. But if you end up with 3 drops accidentally, it's going to be too much of a good thing. And one note is that the citrus oils tend to be thinner and they come out really, really quickly. And I feel like some of the recipes that Stephanie has put together, they do involve the citrus. So just be careful. Know that they come out kind of fast. A couple of quick things. We're going to talk, a lot of recipes that I found actually call for, if they already involve essential oils, they call for a toothpick dip and a toothpick swirl. So I'm just going to explain the difference between them, because this is actually in our research doing this class. It's something I learned. I knew about the toothpick swirl. I didn't know what the difference with the dip and the swirl. Sounds like we're dancing.
So a dip, so both of them, we are taking a wooden toothpick and we're dipping it in the essential oil. So typically we turn the bottle of the oil and allow a drop or 2 or 3 or whatever we want out. And what Alicia said with the spoon is absolutely perfect. It's a way to prevent overusing the oils. We want to start out with less and add more if we need it. We don't want to ruin a recipe by putting too much or having it be too strong. So for both of those, we're taking the toothpick, we're sticking it into the oil, and because it's wood, it's porous, it's going to soak up that oil. If the recipe calls for a dip, we're then taking that toothpick and dipping it in the recipe. That's a dip. Or we're dipping it in the drink, or we're dipping it in a thing of hot water, or whatever we're making. It's just a dip, in and out. If we're swirling it, we're taking that same toothpick and we're putting it in and we're swirling it. So does everyone kind of see how what the dip is very, very little. Yeah, very quick, in and out, like quick, versus the swirl is allowing us to get more of that oil into the recipe.
That makes sense.
And it could require, and then you'll be able to adjust and kind of, I've actually never used a dip.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have either.
Yeah, there are some recipes that have, and we're going to give you recommendations for references and stuff like that. And there are recipes that call for. I tend to cook a lot, so big batches of things, and would like to have leftovers. So it's never a little amount. It's always, I'm using 1 or 2 drops of things here and there. So again, this will be on the handout, but in general, this is where you guys get to play. We have some kind of basic rules or guidelines for herb substitution and citrus substitution. So if you have a recipe that calls for a herb that you have the oil for, but you don't have the herb, or you'd rather try the oil, then we're going to give you recommendations for how to do that, or at least how to begin, and then play with that recipe. And the same thing for citrus zest and citrus extract. So a 1/2 teaspoon of dried herbs is going to be equivalent to 1.5 teaspoons of fresh herbs, and then 2 to 3 toothpick swirls of the oil. 1 teaspoon of dried herbs is equivalent to 1 tablespoon of fresh herbs, which equals 1 drop of essential oil. And most recipes typically call for about that. So I guess that's why I typically use a drop. For citrus, 1 teaspoon of citrus extract is equivalent to 1/8 a teaspoon of citrus oil, which equals about 16 drops. And 1 tablespoon of citrus zest, which is the outside of like when we're zesting a piece of citrus, is 1/16 of a teaspoon of citrus oil, which is equivalent to about 8 drops. So a lot of recipes, like if you're making something, a lemon, I don't know what I'm thinking of, but like a lemon cake or a lemon, it calls it
like lemon bars.
Yeah, lemon bars. We need them to be really potent and full. So that seems like a lot at first.
It does seem like
but
that.
The lemon is what's flavoring it. So
it's the main flavor.
Yeah. All right. So when we get into recipes, we're going to talk briefly about different ways you can use the oils, and then give you some quick and easy tips, and then we'll talk about oils that we recommend to use in the kitchen, to use for cookouts, to use for cocktails. So really quick ways to use them is in marinades. So if you're marinating a piece of meat, if you're marinating some veggies, if you're throwing together fish and you want to do a quick marinade on that. These are easy ways to throw in lots of, and really kind of play with the flavors of whether it be citrus or spices or herb oils, any of them. One of my favorite ways to use the oils is in dry rubs. I love to pre-make things. So I have I get plain, or I save actually. I've bought glass jars, spice jars, and I've also saved like old spice jars that I use and mix up different spice dry rubs. So I think I have a spicy herb one that we use a lot, and that involves essential oils. So I've either found the recipe or come up with it or tweaked it ourselves. But that's something that calls for regular oil or regular herbs, salt, pepper, that kind of stuff, and then I enhance it with essential oils. Dressings, so whether it be dressings for a salad or mostly salads.
Yeah,
That's
salads.
what we use dressing for.
Besides salad?
Yeah.
Can't think of anything.
But all of that can, you can add. I think I included it. Let me look at what was included. Yeah, the basil thyme vinaigrette calls for it calls for fresh basil, but it also calls for basil essential oil and thyme essential oil. And that one's really yummy over just greens, like just little lettuce. Was thyme the one?
Thyme's the one that we spilled. We smelled thyme forever when we spilled it. Here's our thyme.
So thyme and basil, great for dressings.
So another way is sauces and dips. There's a long list here. So guacamole, my mom makes the world's best guacamole. She made it for a lot of our classes. Thanks, Mama. And we used lemon, lime, and cilantro essential oils. So those are great additions. And one thing I wanted to mention too about all of this is I find that having the oils where you need them really is helpful. So if you guys have some of these oils and they're all like in a little box somewhere or on a shelf somewhere, maybe take your citrus and your herbal oils and put them in your kitchen. See if that kind of inspires you to use them more. You can use them for salsa. So again, lime, cilantro, black pepper, and cumin can all be used. And ranch dip, you can use dill essential oil. So I grabbed the little bottle of dill essential oil. And let's see, hummus, you can use lemon essential oil. Pesto, you can use basil, lemon, or black pepper. And even in barbecue sauce, black pepper or lemon essential oils. Black pepper is a really interesting one. I haven't had too much time to experiment with this one yet, but I'm always surprised when I smell it because it doesn't smell like black pepper to me. And I really like it. It's a good smell. You want me to talk about that?
So we're going to talk next about drinks and cocktails. And this can also be pretty fun. It can be very simple, or you can get a lot more intricate with it as well. And yeah, really fancy. You can start infusing things and stuff like that. So it depends on what you want to play around with and how you want to incorporate the oils. So something as simple, and we do this in pretty much all of our classes, but infusing water or sparkling water with oils. So we always just have a couple oils out, our favorites, usually citrus. I also like to do peppermint and spearmint. Tastes wonderful in just a glass of water. The key, and I don't think we mentioned this yet, when you're drinking any kind of cocktail, make sure that it's, whether it be water or an actual cocktail or some kind of juice or whatever, make sure that it's glass or metal that you're using. So we actually use the mason jar that I used earlier. If we're doing any kind of event, that's typically what we use to drink. Super easy, super cheap.
I've always got this baby with me.
So always glass or metal. We don't want to use plastic. So if you're whipping up some cocktails, just make sure that you have glass or metal on hand. We don't want to enhance any of that stuff with essential oils and then pull the chemicals out of the plastic, and it's just no good for any of us.
It tastes good, it won't smell good, it won't be good.
So if you are a beer drinker, if you like Blue Moon, wild orange, a drop of wild orange in your Blue Moon, because I think they usually, I'm not a beer drinker, but I think they usually drink, or they usually put a slice of orange in.
I think they do. I had a Blue Moon.
Yeah, instead of the slice of orange, you can put a drop of wild orange.
Perfect.
And then with Coronas, you can put a drop of lime instead of a fresh lime. So again, kind of just make, I mean, yes, your fresh fruit is nice, but if you don't have fresh fruit on hand and have a bottle of oil, or you want to really enhance your beer, it's definitely going to be more potent than your slice of citrus.
Well, and I always worry, like if I go to a bar and I get a drink, because you see that little tray of fruit and it's just sitting there and people are like sneezing on it. And I envision everyone who walks by sneezes, coughs, and breathes on that fruit. And that kind of freaks me out. So I like kind of taking things into my own hands and being able to add something to my drink that I know where it came from, what it is, and, you know, no one's breathed on it.
Well, the other thing too is, I know typically our citrus fruits do not need to be organic because they don't really, you know, we're eating the inside, we're not eating the outside. But when we're putting a slice into our drinks, we're getting access to everything that was put on those fruits. So again, the ability to control everything just with a drop of oil, and be much safer, much better. Okay, so we're here.
Yeah, so you can flavor your punch with oils. So again, the citrus oils taste great. There is lemon, there's lime, there's wild orange, there's grapefruit. Even the Slim and Sassy I've found tastes really good, that blend in some drinks. So you can use those. You can add a drop of lavender to lemonade. I know you have a great recipe for lavender lemonade.
Yeah, and really it's just based on flavor. You can just juice your lemons or squeeze your lemons. A lot of recipes call for sugar, which we avoid, but I do make like a honey syrup to sweeten it a little bit. I actually prefer the sour, but my kids prefer it a little bit sweeter. So we add like a little honey syrup to it. you need to kind of heat it up to dissolve the honey into the water, and then add that to the lemon. And then we just put, I think I've made, to a really large amount, I've only done 1 drop of lavender. So it's really strong. This is something that you would definitely, based on how much you make, want to start with the dip, the toothpick dip. If that's not enough, then do the toothpick swirl. But then you can, the other thing you can do is, like we did with the luminaries, is any of these drinks, you can then make them prettier by displaying or adding a sprig of herb or a slice of citrus, or whatever you're using. So for the lavender lemonade, it would be nice to put a sprig of lavender with the lemonade to serve it. It just looks pretty, and I don't know.
No, and then I think that's a good idea too, because then if you have 30 people over and you just have this pitcher of lemonade sitting there and someone is really surprised when they take a drink and it's got all this lavender, having that little sprig in there is also an identifier. Here's what's in this drink, right? Ooh, my favorite. I want to talk about this one. The Moscow Mule. You can add a drop of lime and ginger essential oils. This is one of my favorite drinks. It's really, really refreshing, and definitely adding the lime and the ginger. The lime's going to be really refreshing, really kind of uplifting. And then ginger has this really nice warming, kind of soothing quality to it. And I think the Moscow Mule, if I'm not mistaken, has ginger beer in it as well, right? Okay. So yeah, that's a really yummy one.
Margaritas, the possibilities are kind of endless there. Your typical margarita, which I actually would tend to avoid, your typical margaritas are based on like a syrup, right? So you have like a sugar-filled, yummy syrup. To go fresher, make your own infusions or just stick to fruits. We were away Matt and I were away a couple weeks ago and had some fresh margaritas that were just pureed fruit with tequila. And then you can take and enhance that. So there's all different flavors of margaritas that you can do. You can enhance that based on what flavor. So let's say you're doing a typical margarita, and then maybe you want to add a drop of lime. There's some fruitier ones, like you can do a mango margarita, and maybe you'll add a drop of tangerine. There's some that involve more than just tequila. So you can do tequila and then add additional liquors in there. All of these, you can also leave out the liquor. So you can do like a ginger beer, and I've done a lot where instead of adding liquor, I either just do water or we'll do a sparkling water to kind of enhance it. So again, a lot of playroom here for you to kind of mix and match and mess around with recipes and kind of create your own things. Wild orange is also good in margarita.
Wild orange is good in everything.
Yeah.
Mojitos. You can add a drop of spearmint and lime. I love mojitos. And then last but not least here on the drinking list, sangria. So again, many of the different oils can be used. I even started thinking when you were just talking about the new oils that are in the Harmony collection, right? There's the green mandarin. Like, I wonder if that would be good. So yeah, we want you guys to play with this and don't be afraid. They can be cocktails, they can be mocktails, and let us know. We're really curious to hear if you do try these things, what you use and how it goes for you, because then we can add it to our list of recipes that work and that taste amazing.
And I recommend you kind of go outside your comfort zone too, because we like citrus oils are easy. They're easy to incorporate. Everybody pretty much likes the flavor. We had played around with a couple different recipes and we're wanting to use other oils. And we pulled in basil, and basil is actually wonderful in a drink. It's very strong, very different. And then when we were away, I actually had a strawberry, what was it called? A strawberry basil Collins. So mulled strawberries, a little bit of fresh basil, and I can't remember what else was in there, but it was very good. So I want to play with that and use the basil oil. And then again, that's something where you could take the strawberry and the basil and put it on a toothpick and garnish the drink with it.
Right.
But not necessarily like the basil oil would be the star of the show. So things like that where you don't necessarily think, oh, basil oil, like I'm not sure how that's going to taste. Play with it because it does taste really good. So you can really start experimenting with a lot of different flavors. And the oils enable you to do that without having to like access a ton of ingredients and really mess around. So that's just kind of a quick overview. There are hundreds of drinks and hundreds of ways you can incorporate these oils into cookouts and recipes and different ways over the next few months, especially since we'll be outside more often. We mentioned a lot of the oils, but some citrus oils, lemon, lime, wild orange, tangerine, grapefruit, even bergamot. Herb oils, basil, thyme, oregano, cilantro, marjoram, rosemary, peppermint, spearmint, lavender. So the spice and seed oils and other oils that didn't really fit in any of the categories. Cinnamon, black pepper. There's the new pink pepper that just came out in the Harmony collection. Coriander, cumin, cassia, fennel, lemongrass, ginger, clove, cardamom. So another great drink is chai.
I was just thinking.
Yeah, because I just mentioned a lot of the spices, right? Yeah. So for chai, we need to make a fresh chai. We need quite a few really fresh herbs, or not herbs, spices or seeds.
And they're expensive. I've already made fresh chai, and the first time I did it, I didn't have any of those spices, so I had to go to the store and buy everything, and it cost me like $40 to make my fresh chai. It was good though.
I imagine like this time of year, if you're not doing, I haven't played with this yet, but if you're not doing a hot drink, I bet you could brew like an iced tea or a sun tea and add
your oils,
the chai oils to that as well. So again, lots of room to play. There's a couple of really great books and a really awesome website that we want to refer you guys to. And this is where there are actually a lot of recipes. So if you need a place to start, these are really good resources. So the first one, which we mention a lot, is The Essential Life. So The Essential Life is a reference book that we use a lot just for reference for oil everything. But in the very back, there's a section of the book called Natural Living. And in the Natural Living section, there's a whole section on cooking. And it has tons of recipes from drinks to breads to salad dressings to spices and things like that. So that's a great resource. And a lot of you may already have it. The other resource, if you really want to play with cocktails, this is a new book that came out, The Essential Mixologist. And this one, the entire book is cocktails and different, like it has, here's a margarita with lime and wild orange. Matcha. Here's a mango drink. Here's a rosemary infused Bellini. So that one's kind of fun because they, again, if we talk about garnish, they have a sprig of rosemary in the picture. So it's rosemary infused peach nectar with Prosecco and then the rosemary sprig. And she has the recipe for the rosemary infused peach nectar, which is using the oil. So that's a great reference if you really want to play with cocktails. And then the third place is eatplant.org, eatplant.org. That's a great website. They have a Facebook page too. I think it's just Eat Plant. They post a lot of information there, and I think there's a link to the Facebook page on there, and they have an Instagram account. So lots of recipes, and it's all about cooking and using oils in drinks and in food.
And don't forget about doTERRA's website, doTERRA.com. They have a really, really awesome food blog page with great recipes. I've tried a few of them and I haven't been disappointed yet. So you guys can always hop on the website and look there too.
So the handout that we will provide you with will give you kind of a quick outline of what we talked about tonight. I know this was a quicker class, but it's a class that just kind of gives you information and then allows you the opportunity to play. So for those of you watching this, definitely give us some feedback on recipes that you loved, things you played around with, some recipes maybe that you already have that you were able to incorporate oils into to enhance them and bring even further or greater flavor to. The handout I will upload is going to have that basil thyme vinaigrette. It has a spicy herb seasoning, which was one of the dry rub seasonings that I use a lot. An herb marinade, the grill cleaners, and the bug away luminaries. So it has all the instructions and all the ingredients that you'll need for all of those. So we will upload that to the Facebook page, and then if anyone needs it emailed to them, just reach out to us and we'll make sure it gets emailed to you. Absolutely. But we'll make sure you all have access to it.
Let's mention one last oil before we sign off, should we?
Yes.
I have to mention the digestive blend called Digest Zen. I really think when you go to any cookout or barbecue, this should be in your bag with you. It's so helpful if you're eating rich foods, if you're eating foods you're not used to, if you get an upset stomach, you can just take a drop or two of Digest Zen and rub it onto your stomach. If you've got sensitive skin, make sure you've already got it diluted in a roller bottle with some coconut oil. It's really a game changer. I know a lot of people that thought they were going to have to leave an event like a wedding or a cookout, and they put a couple drops of this into their hand, rub it on their belly, and literally within minutes, they're feeling a lot better. So you don't want to have your fun day ruined by like, oh my gosh, I ate too many, shish kebabs. So definitely bring your Digest Zen with you. And we hope that these classes, this one in particular, just gets you excited about using your oils in ways that maybe you hadn't thought about, or maybe you didn't know were even an option, or maybe you were just feeling like, oh, I don't know if I want to get the basil and bring it into my kitchen. We hope that we're inspiring you to get the basil and bring it in your kitchen, and share with us, like Stephanie said, share with us how it's going and what you're doing, because it's really cool when we share our ideas and our successes and our failures with each other. I think it's a really cool way for us to just grow as a community. We all have this great thing in common where we love the oils and love to play with them. So thank you guys so much for watching.
One more quick thing that we kind of didn't know, but going back through these oils, we didn't really talk the entire class about their therapeutic benefits. So when we talk about basil and bringing basil into the kitchen, and yes, it's amazing, it also has wonderful, beautiful properties, therapeutic properties and benefits. So when we add that to culinary dishes, we're getting those benefits as well. Especially so when we heat the oils, some of the properties can be lessened a bit, but things like dressings, we're not heating them. Cocktails, we're not heating them. Nice. So we're still getting those same exact benefits. And we're not going to take the time to talk. I mean, there's way too many oils to talk about the benefits of all these oils. But when you're thinking about pulling those in, think about that as well. And maybe sit down and Google or go to doTERRA and see, hey, what is that oil really good for? If I used it in this recipe, what would I be, or my family, be getting from it? So something like ginger, if we put ginger in something, it's phenomenal for digestion. So if we're adding it to a recipe, another one that's really great in like a dressing, like if you do an Asian inspired salad, ginger is going to be wonderful in there, but it's also going to help you digest that food and it's going to soothe your stomach. So it's kind of adding and enhancing flavor, but it's also giving you some therapeutic benefits. So kind of keep that in mind as well.
I have a friend who's a nutritionalist, and she always says that your food is always working for you or against you, right? So when you're adding these oils to your food and your drink, your food is working for you. unless you're adding loads of sugar. After you add the oil, then, you know, then you're on your own. We all do it. That was a good addition though. So anything else before we sign
I think
off?
that's it.
Yeah.
So we will, can we stop the recording and then ask questions?
Yeah.
We're going to stop the recording and then we'll open up for questions for those of you that are with us live. If you're not live, just shoot Alicia and I a message with any questions that you have.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.